Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jada Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jada Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Yashodhana Dana Prakajadana Jada Yashodhana Dana Prakajadana Jada Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath, Radhe Jaya, Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath, Radhe Radhe Jaya, Jagannath Jaya, Jagannath Jaya, Jaya Baladev Jaya, Subhadra Jaya, Jagannath Jaya, Jagannath Jaya, Jaya Baladeva Jaya, Subhadra Jaya, Gaura Vidyadanda 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 Jaya, Panchatatva Jaya, Panchatatva Jaya, Panchatatva Jaya Panchatatva Jaya, Narasimhadev Jaya, Prahlad Jaya, Narasimhadev Jaya, Prahlad Prabhu Prabhu Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Shri Gurudev. जय श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की जय, श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा देवी की जय, जय श्री श्री गौरीचंद्र भगवान की जय, श्री श्री पंचरत्न भगवान की जय, जय श्री श्री नरसिंह महादेव प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद जी महाराज की जय, श्रीला गुरुदेव जी महाराज की जय, जय गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानजनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सागररथामृतां त्वं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुण सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपिका गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगे श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुति देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितनाम पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। ओम हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। श्रीमतं स्वाकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनः हृदयेन्तः स्तोहि अभद्रनि विदुरति सुरसतं नष्टप्रासा भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय। So we will discuss today from verse 16 of chapter 7 Bhagavad Gita. चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जना सुकृतिनो अर्जुना आर्तो जिज्ञासा सुरार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभा। चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जना सुकृतिनो अर्जुना आर्थो जिज्ञानसुरार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभा। चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जनः सुकृतिनो अर्जुना अर्थो जिज्ञासुरार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभा। चतुर्विधा, 4 kinds of bhajante, render services, mam, unto me. Jnanah, janah, persons. Sukritinah, those who are pious. Arjuna, O Arjuna. Artah, the distressed. Jigyanasu, the inquisitive. Artharthi, one who desires material gain. Jnani, the one who knows things as they are. Cha, also. Bharatarshava, one, O great one amongst the descendants of Bharata. O best among the Bharatas. 4 kinds of pious men begin to render devotional services unto me: the distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Unlike the miscreants, these are adherents of the regulative principles of the scriptures, and they are called Sukritina, or those who obey the rules and regulations of scriptures, the moral and social laws, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. Out of these, there are four classes of men: those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those who are sometimes in searching after knowledge of the absolute truth. These persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions. These are not pure devotees because they have some aspirations to fulfill in exchange for devotional service. Pure devotional service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11 defines pure devotion thus: Anya Bhilasita Sunyam Dana Karmani Anavritam Anukulyena Krishnau Shilanam Bhaktiruttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire of material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. When these four kind of persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service and are completely purified by the association of a pure devotee, they also become pure devotees. As far as the miscreants are concerned, for them devotional service is very difficult because their life are selfish, irregular, and without spiritual goals. But when some of them by chance, when they come in contact with a pure devotee, also become pure devotees. Those who are always busy with fruitive activities come to the Lord in material distress, and at that time association with pure devotees and become in their distress devotees of the Lord. Those who are simply frustrated also come sometimes to associate with the pure devotees and become inquisitive to know about God. Similarly, when the dry philosophers are frustrated in every field of knowledge, they sometimes want to learn of God, and they come to the Supreme Lord to render devotional service and thus transcend knowledge of the impersonal Brahman and the localized Paramatma and come to the personal conception of Godhead by the grace of Supreme Lord or his pure devotees. On the whole, when the distressed, the inquisitive, the seekers of knowledge, and those who are in need of money are free from all material desires, and when they fully understand the material remuneration has nothing to do with the spiritual improvement, they become pure devotees. As long such a purified stage is not attained, devotees in transcendental service to the Lord are tainted with fruitive activities, the search for mundane knowledge, etc. So one has to transcend all this before one can come to the stage pure devotional service. Shri Isi Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ji Maharaj Ki Jai. I don't know where to begin. I think Prabhupada has spoken, has written perfectly. And truthfully, it is very self-explanatory. This verse is very, very self-explanatory. And it's actually an eye-opener as well at the same time. But however, given the opportunity by the temple management, I would like to share, and I would like to discuss whatever I have heard from my superiors, from my Guru Maharaj, from Srila Prabhupada, from other Vaishnavas. I will humbly like to present today's topic, and maybe we will try to discuss few things that I've learned, and maybe we will take some examples from practical life also, how this is very important that Prabhupada has mentioned in the purport, and and what Krishna is trying to teach to Arjuna. So with permission from the superiors, and my superior Vaishnavas, I'd like to begin. So, I guess the first question to be asked is, who surrenders the lotus feet of the Lord? And I know we have just read, and I would like your attention onto four important words in this verse. The first four important words in this text is artho, the distressed, and jigyasu, the inquisitive, artharthi, one who desires material gain, and gyani, one who knows things as they are. So, I guess the base of our today's discussion will be these four words from this text, and how cleverly Krishna has put them in a certain order. As we discuss further on, you will understand, and I'll ask you some questions. Maybe we can then discuss this further by the end of the class if time permits, and any questions will be taken as well. So, first question is, who surrenders to the lotus feet of the Lord? Like we explained, the four people, Artho, Jigyasu, Artharthi, and Gyani. Right? So this can be established that one who has real knowledge, and according to Varna Ashrama, they render their prescribed duties, and one who loves Krishna selflessly, and one who is always engaged into devotional services. That means 24/7, 365 days. There's no break from the holy day whatsoever. So it looks like that we've already made an understanding that there are four kind of people who will surrender to the Lord, who are likely to surrender to the Lord. Artha, Artharthi, Jigyasu, and Gyani. So here another part of this text is a hidden meaning, and that hidden meaning is that those three people that we mentioned in the beginning, Artho, Jigyasu, and Arthorathi, they are put in this order for a reason. So let me explain this further in a better way. So these kind of people, the four people who surrender, they're neither sanishta or parinishta. So what is sanishta and parinishta? So sanishta, please keep that in mind or make a note if you want to. It's a very important word, and it will lead us to further explanation of this verse. Sanishta. Sanishta means nishkam bhav. Nishkam bhav, without any desires, selfless. And parinishta. Parinishta means the one who follows Vaidhi Bhakti, who follows rules and regulations, chant 16 rounds, and maybe have some material desires, like we all do. So Nishta and Parinishta, these are two foundation to explain these four kind of people who surrender to the Lord. So, but from many lifetimes ago and births, and all these people have eventually become Parinishta. Parinishta means, again referring that ones who follow rules and regulations, and ones who will do their japa, their sadhana every day, and but they will still have some material desires. So now coming back to those four types of people and connecting this Sanishta and Parinishta, and I think it will become more clear and clear. So four types of people that was explained was Artho. So Artha. So now Artha means the distressed. So I think one of the prime example from Shastra, from Srimad Bhagavatam, will be Gajendra. There couldn't be a better example than Gajendra in many reasons, because he was the perfect example because he was in distress. When Grihi, the crocodile, he attacked Gajendra, bodily he was distressed, but because of his past pious parinishta, he was able to remember the Lord even in that situation. Hence, his prayers were Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And in that lifetime, Lord Hari means the one who takes away. So Lord Hari took his pain away. And hence, Gajendra being the perfect example of Artha. And then we go to the other one, Jigyasuhu. I think there will be, it'll be fair to say that Shaunak and other rishis will be the perfect example for this. Let me tell you why. So, I don't know if many people knows, but Shaunak Rishi, before becoming a devotee, was in the karma marga, and previously he wanted to attain Svargaloka, but because Suta Goswami's father heard from Roma Harshana, Sut, and by giving his association to Sut Goswami, and then Sut Goswami giving his association to Shaunak Rishi, his desires changed. And because of association of Suta Goswami, Shaunak and other rishis, their motive and their desires became more towards a jnani, more towards, like Prabhupada has explained, by the association and devotional service of the pure devotee, they also become pure devotees. So I guess this example here from Srimad Bhagavatam would be perfect. I'm just giving you these examples so that you can connect and you can maybe read in your own time what Gajendra did and what Shaunak Rishi's question. And it is beautifully explained in Srimad Bhagavatam over various cantos. And if you already have read, then you will know what I'm talking about. So, Artharthi. Artharthi means the one who wants to have material gains. Okay. So, it'll be fair to give an example of Dhruva Maharaj in this point in time, because Dhruva Maharaj wanted some material gain because he wasn't allowed to sit on the throne because he was not born from the queen, and he took that to heart, and hence he went to forest where he met Narada Muni, and he did some serious sacrifice. But again, the blessing and association was there of a pure devotee, that is Narada Muni. And Narada Muni gave him the mantra to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya for him to attain the Lord. So again, this is very important to understand that these stories are not just there because it is a myth and someone has written. These stories are truthful. They are in Shastra and they never get old. It's not like today's newspaper. They call it new with the S, news, but one day later it becomes old. These Shastras are very powerful, and the stories mentioned and the pastimes mentioned in Shastra, they never become old. No one can fully know exactly. There'll always be something to learn, especially given the circumstance that we are in Kali Yuga and we have only got so many years to live, very limited time, and even in that time, we spend so much years doing this, so much years building a house, getting a good job, studying, for example. So we don't have that much time, and the time that we do have, then we should try to study scriptures and try to understand and realize the topmost Brahmana, the Lord Hari. So now there is another very interesting point in this text, and then the point is that Artho Jigyasa Arthorthi. If you must have seen that there is a particular way why Artho Jigyasu Arthorthi is mentioned by the Lord to Arjuna in a specific way. First comes the Artho, then comes the Jigyasu, and then comes the Arthorthi. I'll tell you why. So, and also, sorry, I forgot the last one is Gyani. So Gyani, I guess the best example is Parikshit Maharaj. And I guess there are a lot of other examples as well. But Parikshit Maharaj is a pure Jnani. How he left everything in one moment, and he went and he asked Shuka Goswami to narrate Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 days straight without any food, without any water. It's some serious sacrifice there. So the first three are Sakam Bhakta, and Jnani is Nishkam Bhakta, right? Jigyasu is kept in between Artho and Arthority. Why? Because it in future it will become Jigyasu. Arthorasi, Jigyasu, Arthority. So that's the reason it's kept in between Artho and Arthority, because Jigyasu is the inquisitive one. So if he will get the perfect platform, if he will associate with the right sort of devotees and pure devotees, then he has the potential, as it is already confirmed in by Srila Prabhupada's purport, that when they are completely purified by the association of pure devotees, they also become pure devotees. And Prabhupada has also mentioned that as far as the miscreants are concerned, for them devotional service is very difficult, because their lives are selfish, irregular, and without spiritual goals. So here you can see irregular in Sanskrit or in Devanagari, it means niyam, aniyam. Aniyam means the one that has there's no discipline whatsoever. There's no rules. The life is lived like an animal. So if there is no discipline, then there is no point living life, because if you, even if in your practical life you were to see that you drive a car, for example, or you work somewhere, you have to follow some sort of rules and discipline. Otherwise you would not be allowed on a plane, or to drive a car, or in an office, or there are many examples that can be given. But the moment there is some niyam, there is some sort of discipline, some routine, and then that person can progress slowly and steadily, because obviously discipline makes a, a better man, because discipline is in mode of goodness. See, so hence Prabhupada has mentioned this. So I would like to discuss the association point here that Prabhupada has mentioned, and maybe I will quote some examples that I've heard, and to understand what association can do. So in South India, there was this famous devotee called Srila Ramanujacharya, and his guru was Yadav Prakasha. So Yadav Prakash was a karmakandi. He was a Mayavad, but and we all know Srila Ramanujacharya, he wasn't. So Yadav Prakash once got approached by a king, and king's daughter was getting troubled by Brahma Rakshasa. And Brahma Rakshasa is basically an evil spirit, you can say. And Rakshasa means evil. So many tantric means people who are trained in getting these evil spirits out of your body or around you, or however they are affecting you. So many tantrics and many big personalities couldn't get that out, that Brahma Rakshasa, and then they finally approached to Yadav Prakash, the guru of Ramanujacharya. And when they approached him, so the Brahma Rakshasa slapped Yadav Prakash, and he said, "You can't do anything. I'm so powerful that your what do you say? The tricks that you have up in your sleeve are not good enough for me to go away. So the only trick that will work is if you would get me the Raj or Charana Marita of your disciple Srila Ramanujacharya." And what happens next is the moment he drinks the Charnamrita of Lotus feet of Srila Ramanujacharya, he is gone. He's gone for good. So by just before he goes away, he goes to he goes to Yadav Prakash saying that you think that you're a very big Brahmana, you've got a big head. Huh? So but why do you think that you're a Brahmana in the first place? Why did you take birth as a Brahmana? So he the story behind him, Yadav Prakash becoming a Brahmana is very interesting actually. And there's another aspect of bhakti that we do very regularly, and that's associated with that. And he told him that in your last life, you were a chameleon. Chameleon is a little lizard that changes color according to the environment they're in. And when you were in the body of chameleon, you ate the remnants of a Vaishnava, of prasada that the Vaishnava was eating. When he left, there was a little portions of grain left in his plate, and you ate that. When you ate that, in your next life, you became a Brahmana. So the point is that just by eating grains, prasada, and rendering some devotional service to the Lord, how has Lord reciprocated by giving him an opportunity to realize and to come back to Godhead. So by simple activity uh, of eating eating prasad every day can even help you to become Krishna conscious. So prasad is very important. But the realization that I had from this was that later on Yadav Prakash actually becomes disciple of Ramanujacharya, and then he becomes a devotee at the end of the day. But the realization that I had that the smallest activity, the smallest uh, devotional service that you're rendering to the Lord will reciprocate that in a big time. So this may be the beginning of our journey, and but don't lose hope. Please don't lose hope. Just continue doing what we are doing on everyday basis. Just try your best. One day we might be blessed in by a pure devotee or one of our gurus, and we might be able to reach to Godhead. Anyway, uh, continuing to the next another very famous but not very famous at the same time example from Srimad Bhagavatam is our Chitraketu Maharaj. Uh, so Chitraketu Maharaj was a trained Brahman and he was a great king, and at that time he was ruling the earth. So a little bit backstory of Chitraketu Maharaj, who he was and how why are we saying Chitraketu Maharaj is very important here. So Chitraketu Maharaj used to practice Panchariti Vidhi. Panchariti Vidhi means uh, it is. I mean, although it's modified, it's given by Narada Muni, and a lot of people practice it, but it is practice. It is practiced for the sake of it. It is not actually practiced with any sort of devotional side to it. So Panchariti Vidhi was even practiced by Ajamil as well. If you were to look into his life, Ajamil was a trained Brahmin. He was from a Brahmin family and he was very strict. He sadhana. He used to practice. But again, the devotional side was missing. That's the point to be noted. The devotional side was missing. So when the devotional side is missing from one's life and you're just doing it because you've been asked by your father, or it's been in your lineage for a while, so you have to do it as as a uh, as a Brahmin. And then there's no reciprocation, because if you think about it, Lord says that you can have connection with me as a friend, as a dear, as a conjugal lover, as a mother, as a das. You can have any connection with the Lord. So if you're not keeping any connection, and if you're doing just the devotional services, and sorry, if you're just doing just the Panchariti Vidhi we are doing without any deeper meaning to it, then obviously you will fall down eventually, unless you've been blessed by association of the devotees. And we all know in Ajamil's Katha what happens is that after seeing a Vaishya, he 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 has those desires straight away, and because since he didn't have any connection with the Lord at that time, he fell down from being a Brahmana to Shudra. Not from physical less, but from the status, because he was doing the activities of a Shudra. He was associating. He was basically breaking all the four regulative principles, uh, and and right at the end, when just by mocking, villagers sent the sadhus to his house, and sadhus actually saw what Ajamil was going through. And here it's a very important point that I need to make. Uh, Although um, Ajamil was in Grihastha ashram, and I remember this point listening to one of my Gurudev's katha. He mentions that even if you're a Grihastha dharma, when you're in a Grihastha ashram, there's a Grihastha dharma to follow. So I'll tell you the point that I'm making, but let's listen to this. So in this is actually referring to the when Yudhishthir Maharaj he does Rajasuya Yajna, and Narada Muni is speaking. So just to tell you a little bit of background, what happens is in that particular instance, Yudhishthir Maharaj has just won the battle of Kurukshetra, and he is doing the Rajasuya Yajna. Rajasuya Yajna is one of the most austere yajna, because in that yajna can only be done by the king who has conquered the whole world. So all the kings will report to him. So that you can imagine the magnitude of that yajna. And it is also said that in that yajna, uh, Lord Krishna was appointed to clear all the plates on the Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, and his duty was prasadam duty basically, and he was doing the jobs that no one would want to do. And I mean, the reason is that he wanted to set an example that when you're doing devotional services, neither service is low. You should embrace all the services given to you. And so Yudhishthir Maharaj then asked Narada Muni that I am the most fallen because I'm in Grihastha ashram, and I am not qualified to reach to Godhead. That is him being humble. We all know that Yudhishthir Maharaj is very qualified. He is the Dharmaraj. He is the king who will never lie about anything. It's very hard not to lie. So Yudhishthir Maharaj is Dharmaraj. So when Yudhishthir Maharaj is referring him as a Mudha means one who is foolish, and he has a Grihastha life. So what to do when he has a Grihastha life? So Yudhishthir Maharaj is then asking Narada Dev that what should I do? What is my dharma? What shall I do to get out of this web, this jal, this web? Web. I mean, we all know that when we are in our own houses, there's always problems and there's always worries. There's always distress somehow or other. Even if you're a devotee or not devotee, there's always something to do. So you feel trapped sometimes. So in one of the Puranas, it's mentioned that is it's like Davanal. We are in forest fire. The Grihastha life is like a Davanal. Piyushanadhyan Manovarana Klesha Davagni Dagada. That means mind is like an elephant who is trapped in the forest fire, and the only way it can be calmed is when he enters into clean cold water. And then when it's in the water, the fire cannot do anything. So that pure, clean, and cold water is Sheetal Jal is referred to pure devotees. So Narada Muni is giving a really important instruction to everyone, not just Grihasthas, but everyone. That is that that association of Mahamauni. Mahamaunis are people. Maunis are people who don't speak. Mauni means Maun. Maun means that you're quiet, you don't speak anything. But Mahamaunis are people who only speak about the glories of the Lord. And one of the prime examples we have seen in today's world, Mahamauni, is Srila Prabhupada. He only spoke ever about Sri Krishna, nothing else. So Narada Muni is saying that if one goes to a Mahamauni, he will be purified. He will be looked after. He will come, he will go back to Godhead. So in conclusion to that little story that I mentioned, is that either you are a Grihastha, either you are a sannyasi, either you are in any ashram, any varna of any ashram, association is very, very important. And now coming back to Ajamil's Katha, and then we'll come back to Chitraketu Maharaj's Katha. Uh, because Chitraketu Maharaj was Grihastha, so we started talking about Ajamil at that time. And Ajamil was a Grihastha too, but in a very bad position. And so coming back to Ajamil's Katha and why, how this connects is because when those Brahmanas went to Ajamil's house, they saw that the situation is very bad. There is no bright future. So they asked him to keep his one of his sons' name as Narayana, because they know accidentally, even accidentally, if he chants Narayana, he might be able to get past this web. So when he chants on the final stage of his life, he chants Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. He's calling his son, but even then, Lord sends Vishnu Dutas straight away. And now he's getting association of Vishnu Dutas and at the same time Yam Dutas. Yam Duta has got the Yam Pass. Yam Pass is the rope that is in your neck at the time of the death. And they are about to take him, but Vishnu Dutas are like, dare you touch them. But and there's a very interesting conversation at that time between Vishnu Duta and Yam Duta. But the point is that he got the association of Vishnu Dutas at that time, and then he was pardoned for maybe a few years to practice bhakti, to rectify what he did, and eventually went back to Godhead. But now coming back to Chitraketu Maharaj and how he was Panchariti Brahmana, Panchariti Vidhi he was following. And so Vaidhi Bhakti has two parts. One is Panchariti Vidhi and one is Shuddha Bhakti. So what we are trying to practice is Shuddha Bhakti. We are on path of trying to Shuddha Bhakti. But whereas Chitraketu Maharaj was practicing Panchariti Vidhi. Okay, so now Chitraketu Maharaj was a very pious and very, very famous in the whole world because he was the world of the king of the world, sorry. So now he had 10 million wives and none of the wives could beget one son that he desired. So he could not have son, no matter whatever he did. There was no son. So he was very distressed because of that. So Angira Rishi, he was born. Angira Rishi was born from Brahmaji's mind, and so he gave the blessing for a son, and eventually when they had a son, and with a wife called Krita Duty, so Krita Duty was given importance at that time because obviously she's the only wife among 10 million wives who could have a child, who could have a son. So obviously Chitraketu Maharaj's whole attention was to Krita Duty. And other wives got jealous. And when they got jealous, they poisoned the little child and the child died. And the moment the child died and Chitraketu Maharaj heard that the child is died because of that, he was in distress. He was artha at that time. Coming back to our text, he was artha. He was in distress. But what helped was association. When Narada Muni heard that this has happened, and Angira Rishi heard that this has happened, they came immediately to pacify Chitraketu Maharaj. Eventually, they gave their association and they taught him that this is all temporary, bodies are temporary, soul is the eternal, uh, and you shouldn't lament about your child passing. And then he understood, and then he practiced devotional services, and he went back to Godhead. There's a long story behind how he was cursed by Parvati Devi, and he became Mitrasura. And I don't want to go in there, but the bottom line, in conclusion, what we can learn from this story as well, that yeah, you might be a trained Brahmana by birth, but doesn't mean that you have the full what do you call it? You've got the full pack with you to what it takes to reach to Godhead. There has to be some element of devotional service. There has to be some bhakti there, and again, referring back to how where we started this discussion from and how we came up to this conclusion is when Prabhupada is mentioned in his verse that these four people who are Artha, uh, Jig, sorry, yeah, Jigashuna and Artharthi and Gyani. So when these four people are people who will render some devotional service, and they will come to bhakti somehow or other. And then we discussed that these four kind of people are they're neither sanishta or parinishta. And sanishta, we discussed that they were means nishkam bhav. Nishkam bhav means without any desire. Then parinishta means with the bhakti, one who follows rule and regulation, but they don't have what it takes. They don't have that. They still have desires. Sorry. And then from there we discussed that what three kind of out of these four, three are parinishta, and only one is sanishta. Sanishta means the one who has no desire. That means Gyani is the only one who has no desires, and then parinishta are the rest of them. But parinishta will eventually come to sanishta, you see, because they will have that association. They still have that path to go on, and eventually when they come in contact with pure devotees, then they will reach back to God. But if pure devotees are not available in the town and village they live in, then they must travel to them, because they have the expert tools to cut your web uh, that we are all in. So I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity and listening to what I researched about this topic. And if anyone has any questions, I would like to discuss those. And thank you so much for bearing with me. Thank you, God and Raj Prabhu, for giving this opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much for your class and for your presentation researching this topic. Just to see if anybody has any questions, comments before I say something. Anybody has any questions or comments? Those who are watching on YouTube, you can type in and I will read out your comments or questions. Okay, right. Okay, so Prabhu, thank you very much. I like the way you presented, and your main focus, your main focus was associating with the pure devotees. That's what Prabhupada mentioned. Although different people come to Krishna shelter, though they may have ulterior motives in the beginning, and they can become pure devotees by the mercy and by the association of pure devotees. And this is a point Prabhupada mentions actually, and you highlighted that. You picked that actually. That is the main focus of your lecture today, if I can say that. And you've given a number of examples how these people, Dhruv Maharaj initially had a desire to have a greater kingdom than his own grandfather Brahmaji. That was his ulterior motive or motive. Personal motive, but by the association of Narad, he became pure devotee. And you are given another example of Ajamil. Like Ajamil condition was completely different. He was not coming to initially perform devotion, but his condition was completely different. He does not fall into any of these four category at all. But by the association of Vishnu Dutas, who are the devotees of the Lord, and then he perfected his life. And Chitraketu was a king. And by the association of Narad, and he became a pure devotee. Like that, there are a number of examples in the scriptures. So that's wonderful. That is the key point. Also in our movement, Prabhupada, by associating with Prabhupada, how many people became devotees. So we are trying to give some examples from the scripture, but we can see actually in front of us, and we can see from our own life, where were we and where are we now, where are we going to go ahead. So it is the mercy of the pure devotee that transform the person. Thank you so much, Anandra Prabhu, for taking up this service and presenting it nicely, and highlighting the key point that association of a pure devotee is the most important bit. Thank you. So just a couple of comments, a couple of announcements from my side. Looking at the calendar, this Tuesday is Ekadashi, and Friday is Shivaratri. So because it is Shivaratri and every Friday we have a lecture, so the lecture will be dedicated to glorifying Lord Shiva. As Bhagavatam says, Lord Shiva is the pure devotee, is the Vaishnavanam Yathashambhu, is the topmost Vaishnav. So Friday class will be dedicated for glorification of Lord Shiva. On Sunday, so it is the disappearance day of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. We can see his picture on our altar, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. So class will be given by Bhuvaneshwari Radha Mataji, and the topic is how to come out of the illusion. And Mataji will also talk a little bit about Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj as well. And it is also Mother's Day, just for your information. And 28th Sunday is Gaura Purnima. It is the appearance day of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So we are planning for a wonderful program, because it is Sunday. Usually when it falls on a working day, we are busy. But this time it is Gauranga Mahaprabhu's mercy. It is on Sunday, so let us best make use of this wonderful time and see how best we can do. So we'll come up with a plan, and the information will be sent out soon. Okay, so thank you very much, and Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.